What's up? It's your boy Los LOS. You are watching the Community Leaders Podcast. And today I have Jackie. And Jackie has a last name, but I don't know how to say her last name. So Jackie, what's up?
Hi, how are you doing?
I am doing great. How do you pronounce your last name?
So it's Covarrubias.
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 Okay, we did that like 4 or 5 times already. I'm just going to let it go.
That works.
You gonna be Jackie Cuba.
That works.
What's up? How's your day going?
It's good. Little tiring, but it's good.
A little tiring? You had to work today?
Yes. Okay. So a lot of work and then balancing the kids and work and driving out here.
So you had work and the kids and then driving out here to do a podcast with Los.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Exciting. It's all exciting stuff.
Awesome. First time doing a podcast?
Yes. First time.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So Jackie, tell us what you do.
Yeah. So I am the executive director of a nonprofit organization in Little Village. It's called the Alliance 98. And what we do essentially is to connect young people to the resources, networks, and experiences needed for them to find fulfilling careers, but also just long-term fulfillment in general, and kind of, overall supporting with college and career development, exposure, really getting them to see and experience, right, what higher education looks like, but also what different careers look like. Because a lot of times I feel like, youth might go into college thinking like, oh, I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a lawyer. But a lot of times they tend to hear those things from like families, or they feel like that's what they're supposed to want to do. Uh-huh. And so if they want to do that, we 100% support them, but we kind of might, give them exposure to that before they dive, straight into just medical school or law school or whatever it is. Okay. And this way they can kind of determine like, okay, wait, like, do I actually really like this? Whether it's like finance or, law, medical stuff.
Okay.
But also just exposing them to different careers as well, because a lot of times, youth, they tend to think of those like finance, medical school, law school, because they know like, right, my family is sacrificing a lot for me. Let me go into something that's going to make a lot of money to benefit my family and to help my family, which is great. But at the same time, like, we want them to also be happy and find fulfillment from their careers. Yeah. So, sometimes they don't know what else is out there. And kind of just through our programs, right, they can experience it, go to one day of what that looks like, speak to people who are in those roles. And just really have a better handle of their own future and their own like goals.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So how long have you been doing this?
Yeah, so I just recently joined the organization about like 7 months ago. No, like 9 months maybe, back in September of 2025. Okay. But prior to that, I was still working in Little Village with another organization that focuses on youth and community development. And every role I've had, since graduating college has pretty much been tied to youth development in some way or another, whether it be through like education and teaching or other community organizations, and kind of like connecting families and young people to resources, coordinating after school programs, a wide variety of different jobs, but always kind of with the same focus and same mission. Okay.
So has it always been a non-for-profit organization that you've been working for?
Yes. So it's always been, nonprofits, and then I guess CPS, Chicago Public Schools. Okay. But yep, I've worked for Enlace. I worked for another organization, Beyond the Ball. I was there for about like 11 years on and off, while I also worked for CPS as a substitute teacher. Okay. And right out of undergrad, I did a teaching program called Academy for Urban School Leadership, which essentially paired me with like a mentor teacher to kind of learn, best practices and strategies, while at the same time earning my master's. So, we would teach Monday through Thursday, and then Friday we'd go to National Lewis downtown for our like master's courses.
Awesome. So what's your master's in?
So it's a Master's of Arts in Teaching, a MAT.
And is that what you always wanted to do?
I think so. Well, initially when I was in college, as a senior in high school, I decided that I wanted to be, before senior year, I wanted to be a vet for the longest time, like from kindergarten up until senior year.
Like what kind of vet? Like just a regular cat and dog, or like exotic, like snakes
that would have been
spiders
cool.
And all that kind of stuff?
That would have been really cool, but I think I was mostly in the like cat and dog, mindset. But then I took a small animal science class, and I don't know why it never clicked before, but then I realized I would have to put animals down, and I was like, I can't do this. So I kind of...
So you couldn't take down Bambi?
No, I'd be so sad. I couldn't do it. I would be like, let's go find your mom. So yeah, no, I would have helped Bambi. But I was like, you know what? As much as I love animals, this isn't, for me. And then kind of like reevaluating and reassessing, I realized that other things I really enjoyed was like working with youth, right? Even though myself at the time being 18, right, you're still also a youth or a young person. But so then I was like, I really like math and I like, teaching. And so, I'm sorry. I went into college wanting to be a high school math teacher. Couldn't pass calculus, so I was like, you know what? I realized I like everything in math up until calculus.
I was about to ask you, were you good in math?
I am good up until we get to calculus. So that took a while. Eventually I passed.
So you're taking down, you're good with long division. You're good.
I can do long division.
All
That's
day.
why I was like, I can teach fourth grade math and science. That's I can do that. But yeah, so then I think I realized I switched my major a couple times because I went in as a math major. That was a bad idea. And then I switched to sociology. Okay. And the school I went to had a supplemental major in Latino studies. Okay. So I did supplemental major in Latino studies and then a minor in education, schooling, and society. Because my school didn't have like an education degree or anything. But I was like, well, this is the next best thing, right? Kind of learning about how education impacts our society, how society has impacted education, which I think for me has been really useful in, right, all of my different jobs that I've done. But so I really went in thinking that I wanted to be a teacher. Like I said, I did the teaching program. And then I think, just being in CPS, I realized it was really rigid and I wasn't able to connect with students and help students in the way that I wanted to. And so I had a friend who was also in the program, but she actually also dropped out. I didn't drop out, but she had dropped out and she knew that I wanted to work with young people. So she was like, you should reach out to my cousin. He has a nonprofit. And so at the time, I just started volunteering for Beyond the Ball, which is the organization I previously worked with. And I did end up finishing the year of, that teacher residency program. But yeah, then once I was working in youth development through a nonprofit lens, I think it gave me more fulfillment because it was like, I'm actually able to work with them and it's not about test scores and it's not about numbers and it's not about all these different things. Like it's a real genuine, like, I'm getting to know you. You're getting to know me. I know your family.
You're having a relationship.
Right. Yeah. An actual relationship that I felt teaching didn't necessarily allow. And so, yeah, I realized, I think, too, that when I kind of reflected back on things I had done even before high school, that was what really like brought me joy and made me feel fulfilled because I was in a program from like 8 to 18 years old, so about 10 years. And it was called the Chicago Young Marines. And it was really cool. It was kind of like an ROTC program, but not necessarily tied to a school. Okay. So it was like a military-based youth development organization. And through that program, I think I was like 12 when I was first like put in charge of my own like squad. Okay. And so that was really cool because
you said squad.
Yeah.
Your own squad.
My own little squad, which eventually became a platoon, which eventually was like
right.
the whole company. But I think there is when I realized, right, like I like to connect with people, like I want to be able to support them and help them in different ways. And I think that was also a really helpful experience because I think I learned that since it was military based, they really want you to lead in a certain type of way. And I was like, that's not my type of leading. I feel like I tend to lead with love more and more like compassion, whereas obviously, military is a little bit more strict and rigid. Yeah. But I mean, I stayed for 10 years and eventually was in charge of the whole platoon, so it worked. But yeah, I think, those connections were what really gave me fulfillment. And so I think it only made sense that it's like, okay, cool, I should be in a job or in a space where it's like I'm able to truly connect with people.
Yeah. So where does this come from? Where does this come from that you want to work with young adults? I mean, did you have someone when you were younger as well where you said, okay, maybe I want to be like that person when I get older?
I think I feel like I've been reflecting on that a lot lately too, to kind of wonder like and pinpoint exactly where it comes from. But I think it might actually come from the lack of it for me. Because I had caring adults growing up in my life, but it was like, I know they cared about me, right? Like my mom and my grandma and my grandpa, but I think I never really had that like one-on-one like mentor or connection. But I think that's because I essentially like flew under the radar. Like, okay, she gets good grades, it's fine. She doesn't need any additional help or any additional support. Like, you know, I graduated, everything was fine. And so it's like nobody ever was like, yeah, you know, let me connect with Jackie.
Yeah. Jackie was good. We got to focus on this knucklehead over here.
Essentially, like, you know, my sister, my brothers, everybody else always kind of like needed that extra support. So I think growing up, I was like, okay, cool, whatever. I don't need it. But I was like, no, I think everybody needs it, right? Everybody needs that connection, that like to know that they have people in their corner and that support.
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, I knew that I had my family and my parents and my grandparents, but at the same time, it was like, they're there if if anything ever happens, but nobody was necessarily like checking in on me.
Right.
So I wanted to make sure to have that other youth had that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So you got into that. You've been working with non-for-profits. Right now you're working in one for 9 months.
Yes.
You have children.
Yes.
How many?
Yes. So I have 2 children. My son, Omar, is 8 years old. And then my daughter, Metzli, is 3 years old. And they both just turned, their birthdays were May 16th and May 18th. So they just turned, 8 and 3.
Okay. All right.
It's very exciting, but a lot of work. I love them.
Totally a lot of work. I get that. My kids are already, my son's, I think, 34. I think. Okay. Sorry, Nathan, if I forget your age. I know you're 30s. 34. My daughter's, she's going to be, next month, she's going to be 23.
Wow. Yeah.
Hers I know because it's on the 4th of July, so it's real easy.
Oh. You got to remember that.
Yeah. So, I get it. But I'm over those young years. But I do miss those young years.
Yeah. It's a good time.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. And they like you.
I'm scared for when they don't. I'm not ready for that.
Yeah, my kids are like, yeah, Pa, I'll see you next year. What? I'm like, what? Oh, you need something. Oh, I got a phone call.
The money. Send some funds over.
My cell phone bill needs to be paid. But awesome. So you're in a little village now helping the young adults. How has that changed your life? Or what I'm saying by that, how has it changed your life? Does it inspire you to do more? Or since you're in it, you're like, nah, I don't want to do this? Or you're like, no, I want to keep on doing it. This is what I really want to do.
I think for me, it definitely serves as like motivation to continue to keep going. Because I think, you know, when I started 12 years ago now, like the youth that were in kindergarten, right? The organization I was with, we used to work with youth as young as kindergarten up until like high school, college age. You know, they never really aged out. But that first group that I had in my like Biddy Ball program, right, that I got to coach, who were in kindergarten back then are now, I can't even do the math, but they're, you know,
they got beards.
They're in college, yeah. And so it's so nice to see them because sometimes, you know, we run into each other, right, whether it be in the neighborhood or somewhere else, out at like a music festival or at the grocery store. It's always just so nice to see them, to see, you know, that they're doing well and that they also remember and appreciate you. And I think kind of like with parenting probably, right? Like sometimes that appreciation doesn't come until much later. But like, yeah, you know, you hold some type of space in their heart. And I think the best thing too is that like a lot of the youth too, I do still get to see, which is really nice. Like they have, now they're in roles within other community organizations and now they're the coaches, they're the leaders. And so that's my favorite to see. I know a group of girls that when I first started, they were in 6th grade. Now, they graduated college, I think a year or two ago. And so always now just getting to talk to them and connect again about like, right. And I'm still able to help them because now we're able to talk about like this work, right? And like, okay, well, maybe I can help share some of my experience or some best practices that I use because now they're in the position that I was in when I started. So I just love to see that. And, you know, I want my kids to also recognize the importance of community. So I love that, again, these youth that were really young when I started, now they see my kids and like my kids know them and, you know, they'll look for them or say like, oh, hey, like, you know, is this person going to come today or am I going to see this person? Because, I think that's the best part of community work is just really creating that, like, family. Right?
Okay. So you see yourself doing some more in-depth community work, maybe like an alder person, that kind of thing, the mayor of Chicago? I mean,
Definitely not. I am not super interested in like the politics. Again, I couldn't even handle the red tape within a CPS school. I don't need any type of
okay.
aldermanic, any type of political position.
Okay.
I think, for me, the more, I guess, informal roles have always been easier, or not easier, but they're just like a better fit for me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't, even with like executive director, I'm so grateful for the position and for the trust from our CEO, right? To take on this role. But I'm almost like, I could, like, I'm so appreciative for the role, but like working with youth in different ways, right? I would do what I do, whether or not it was executive director or, program manager, which is a role I've been in before, or project manager. I mean, I think the different titles I've had throughout the years haven't really, while those have changed, I think my work has always been the same, right? And the same focus. And sometimes like, if anything, when I think that's something else that I've noticed throughout my life is that I feel like the higher up I tend to go, the less I get to connect with people in the way I want to. Yeah. And so I've almost like, not backing away from roles, but I'm like, okay, cool. I already know what that entails. And so it's not necessarily like, I'm not necessarily trying to climb any ladder because I know the ladder doesn't go where I want to go.
Right. There's going to be some strings attached to that.
Right.
Something's going to be like, well, you got to go this lane now. You have to act this way with them. You can't be that close to them no more because this is expected of you over here. I totally get it. You want to be in the front lines.
Right. And even with like, thinking back to like young Marines, I remember when I started to get promoted and have higher ranking, one time I think I was going to go eat lunch like with my friends and everybody who like, who was in the program, and some of the older guys who were also higher ranking were like, no, like everybody who's higher ranking eats over here by ourselves. Like, and I was like, oh, I don't like that. But, and then even with teaching, like I know people would always try to push me. They're like, oh, you don't want to be a principal? And I was like, no, I want to be in the classroom to be able to make connections. And I think same with, the organization that I was with previously, like, while I appreciate and am thankful for, the trust to take on more responsibility, at the same time, I was like, it's getting me further away from direct service, which was always like, that's not necessarily, where I wanted to be.
No, I like that you know what you want. You're like, those positions are great, and they probably pay more, but it's not where I want to be.
Right.
So
and that's one of the things, that's one of the things too that I know I've talked about a lot with like, friends who do similar work or friends who are just in the nonprofit industry, is that like, it's unfortunate that like to get more money, you have to get away from the youth, but it's like, or, the direct service, but it's like, if we're really valuing those young people and valuing the people who work directly with them, it's like those roles should also be paid, well. Because when they're not paid well, or as people grow, right, I couldn't have stayed in that coach position for forever because, got a house, had kids, and that just wasn't sustainable anymore. But that causes turnover. And then turnover means, okay, now these youth have to build relationships with new people who are able to step into these roles. And then again, right, that person can only stay there for so long before it's not sustainable anymore. And again, okay, now youth just kind of have a consistent revolving door of like caring adults, but at the same time, like, I just think if we valued those positions more as a society, like overall, I think it would have a more positive impact on our young people.
Okay. So now you are a part of CLF.
Yes.
So how do you like it?
I love it. Okay. I love CLF. I feel like I learned so much from every session. I was kind of sad because when we finished the March session, they were like, oh, this is the last one. And I was like, no, I want to keep learning more stuff. Yeah. But I think, being connected to the different people that they've connected us to, having these discussions and these conversations and just like giving us these prompts to start thinking about, whether it be like philanthropy or I'm like blanking on everything we've learned, but any one of the other many things that we've learned. Because I know those are conversations then that I take back to my staff and we'll talk about them. Absolutely. Or, my friends who also work in the community, and it's like, right, what do you guys think about this? And just having those conversations, I think, and
the connections you're making.
Right, the connections.
You're making huge connections, and people. They're just not regular people learning something new, those are already leaders. You guys are leaders amongst leaders. So it's great that you guys are learning off each other, and those connections you guys can make for you guys could help each other out in the neighborhoods.
Right. And I love to see that, to see, kind of like, okay, this is a strategy that we use in this neighborhood, right? What works for you guys? Like to be able to cross-examine kind of like and cross-reference those, different best practices or different like strategies that we use, I think is really helpful, because then, we're able to borrow from one another and kind of like test it out, see how it works, with our organization or with the youth that we work with. But yeah, no, I think it's a great network. It's amazing people. I love it.
Yeah. So what was I know you had a little hard time figuring out the classes, but if you can remember right now, what was your favorite session or class?
So right after I said that, then I thought about the storytelling one.
Okay.
So I think the storytelling one was really impactful for me, just because I know, right, I've done some grant writing before, and I feel like one of the things I don't necessarily enjoy about grant writing is that you kind of have to, tell a sob story to like, oh, we need these funds because of A, B, and C. Yeah. But I really appreciate the storytelling one, because I feel like it came from like an asset-based approach and from an asset-based lens, instead of like, what are the deficits? Why, tell us a sad story about these youth and what they need and why they need it. Yeah. So yeah, I think the storytelling one was my favorite.
Awesome. So the dreaded question I'm going to ask you: what's your plan for the next 5 years?
Oh no, that's funny. I was just working on my 5-year plan last night.
I know you are. That's why I got to ask.
Okay, I have so much. I think, kind of like how I mentioned, right? Like professionally, that ladder, I don't feel like I necessarily want to like keep going up it. So I think I just want to continue to maintain kind of where I'm at and like, right, have good programming, good work. But I think professionally, I for sure want to ensure that our staff are developing in the ways that they want to develop. We're a small but mighty team at TA 98. And I think, I just want to ensure that our staff feels comfortable, and that they would be ready to take on whatever roles seem appealing to them, whether it's within the organization or outside of the organization, just supporting them. And kind of, at least within the organization, again, streamlining some things, so that we're really able to do our best work for the community, and not necessarily getting caught up with, little details and minor things. So I think just making sure that the organization is in a good place to do what we have been doing, right? And to continue to work effectively and efficiently. And for sure, just getting our staff the development that they need, ensuring that we have a space where young people feel comfortable and feel that, I know I can come to TA and I'm going to grow, I'm going to develop, I'm going to be challenged, and I'm going to, stretch in different ways that maybe are uncomfortable, but ultimately this is going to be a good opportunity for me. So I think work-wise, that's kind of where I see the organization being. I think personally, that's where my 5-year plan was focusing a little bit more. Okay. Just to really be able to center myself, which I don't think I have done lately. I think maybe, I guess, since becoming a mom. But I for sure want to show my kids that, right? That it's important to don't lose yourself in parenthood, especially my daughter, right? If she chooses to become a mom, like, I don't want her to lose herself in that. Like, to enhance herself, yes, but definitely not like where this, motherhood becomes this all-encompassing identity now. So I think little things, like I just want to get back to running. I used to run. Okay. I ran the Chicago Marathon in 2019.
Let's go.
And I told myself, I was like, okay, I'll have to do it once again at least, because I don't think I did my best. So I was like, okay, I want to do my best one more time. But I've definitely fallen off, and so I need to get back on that. Okay. And just be consistent for myself, again, for my mental health. And I think allowing for sure more time for creativity, because I like to create. I'm not like any fancy type of artist, but whether it be like, making cakes, making piñatas, making like, different things here and there. I feel like I've made myself make cakes and piñatas for my kids' birthday parties, because I was like, all right, I'm forcing myself to do something creative. But then it stresses me out because I'm like, there's just so much happening. So I was like, okay, I need to make sure to include art and creativity in my life in a way that isn't going to stress me out, and that truly just allows me to enjoy it. So that's one of my goals as well. And then I think just, again, relationships are so important. And I think one of the great things about working in community is that you're also working with your friends. So I love that. But sometimes I feel like any friends that aren't necessarily part of my work get neglected a little bit. And so I want to make sure that I'm still maintaining those friendships and giving them the care and love that they deserve as well. Instead of, every couple months, like, oh, hey, how are you? And then, something comes up. But yeah, so I think for sure, like, better managing and caring for my relationships, and myself and my sanity.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. So, last question. Mm-hmm. If you had a superpower, any kind of superpower, what would it be?
Okay. I think I would want to teleport, because I think when I think about, like, sometimes all my stress, where it comes from, and it's just like, okay, I got to get here, I got to be there. And sometimes I'm always like, I wish I could be in multiple places at once. And I feel like teleporting would give me the closest thing to that. Okay. So it's like, right, I could go to this person's event, be there for half an hour, teleport real quick to the other one, not have to worry about transportation, teleport to pick my kids up from school, so I'm there. Then I can go back to the office if I need to, be wherever I need to be. So I think I would like to teleport.
Okay. I think you don't want to drive.
I don't want to drive. Yeah, no, I don't want to drive either. If there's a way to do that, I would rather not drive. That would be great.
Awesome. Well, Jackie, I want to say thank you for coming down
Thank you so much.
and doing this interview with me.
Yeah, thank you. This was great. I liked it.